Greetings! Hello everyone! Welcome to Channel Otherdoc. I'm Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and today we are playing Hell for Leather, a GM-less story game about a biker who's returned to life on Devil's Night to seek revenge on the gang who betrayed them. And, this is,
like you do.
Yeah, like one does, we're going to go around, say hi to everyone, and I'm going to ask everyone their favorite portrayal in any media of the devil, or any media that contains it. And I think I will go, I'm going to go clockwise, so I will start with Josh. Hello!
Hi, I'm Josh Burnett. My favorite portrayal of the devil is the robot devil from Futurama.
Excellent choice!
As voiced by Dan Castellaneta.
Awesome. And let us move around to James. Hello!
Hi there. James or Jimbo. Use he, him pronouns. My favorite invocation of the devil in media is Peter Cook from the original Bedazzled.
Yes! He's so nice.
Yeah.
That was a good one. And now let us move around to Ozzy. Hello.
Hello, I'm Ozzy. I'm currently on Twitter. I also use he, him pronouns. And my favorite depiction of the devil, I think, is Louis Cypher from Angel Heart.
Very good one.
Cool. I think mine is actually from the Hellblazer comics, the Constantine comics. There are 3 of them. And he does this thing where he basically kind of sells his soul to all 3 of them, and they have to fight over it. It's delightful. So what are we doing today? We're playing this game called Hell for Leather. Before we dig too deeply in there, let me go ahead and go over this thing real quick, as I always do. Like we do with most games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of the players, any of them can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and we'll do something else. If something happens that you're okay having in the game but you don't want a graphic description of it, type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it, or just put it behind a veil so it'll be there but we won't go into detail. Finally, if you're in the midst of intense role-playing and you think we might be worried that you're really upset out of character, you can put an O in the chat to let us know you're okay and that we're good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we say or do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. Then everyone else can respond and let it to that and just let us know if we're still doing okay. So, with this game, we don't actually have characters yet, and it's only one of us is going to end up having a single dedicated character. We're actually going to the roles can kind of go back and forth a bit, depending on how this game, on how you play. This is very much a sort of a building of things game, as you're sort of contributing to put the story together. So I think it's going to be very cool getting to see how this works. Let me go ahead and let us get into setup mode here. And I shall pull up the rules. I shall pull up the hymnal and begin, essentially just begin reading from it, because that's kind of how this goes. Let's see. Hell for Leather, you were the meanest, most badass SOB around. Everything was tight. You rode with the Devil's Dozen. Toughest chapter going. Nobody messed with you. Except your buddies screwed you. Life is cheap. What's a little murder between pals? But all that Satanism paid off. Who'd have thunk it, it says. Bad news for the puppies. Good news for you. You got to deal with the devil. You got one night, Devil's Night, to enact vengeance. You're going to show those bastards what a real angel of hell can do, it says. When the rooster crows, your chance for revenge is over. You gotta go hell for leather, which is the name of the game here. So there are a number of different ways to interpret what we're going to be doing here. The first thing we need to do is actually figure out sort of the setting that we want and the characters that we want. I figured since we got a little bit of a late start, we should probably just do this a little bit lightly and then sort of develop more as we go. But what are we thinking in terms of the sort of setting we want for this? They don't actually have to be bikers. That's sort of the main thrust of it, and I'm perfectly fine doing them as bikers of some kind, but we sort of want to figure out when and where they are.
Fargo.
I assume you mean the one in North Dakota.
Yes.
Yes.
Or
You agree with that?
Sort of the stereotypical biker films are always set in California or somewhere that's hot. Let's do someone that's not hot.
No, I like the idea. Just folks from the sort of that up in that area, that sort of the upper middle states.
It's a little hard to ride a motorcycle in the ice and snow.
Is it? That might explain
Well,
why
you
a
could
lot
have
of those films take place.
They do ice rink motorcycling racings with spikes in the wheels.
I'm fine with it.
I could envision. Well, do we want to do something that's like they've dominated a small town, or do we want to do something a little more urban?
Ooh. I actually like the idea of dominating a small town in some way.
One of the reasons I suggested Fargo.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be quite. It can be a town like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be so far north that the snow is going to make it hard on the bikes. So we could say that it is an unspecified city somewhere in like Middle America.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that idea a lot. Okay, so yeah, basically it's like they've sort of come in. They've maybe there's like a bigger town nearby or a bit of a ways away, but this is kind of where they have come in and they've just sort of taken everything over.
Kind of like Sons of Anarchy.
Kind of, yeah. Actually, come to think of it, yeah, rather like that. Cool. So we're going to have a number of characters that we can kind of define, and I think we're just going to define them on the fly as we get going. They're going to be in the Leathers deck, and they're represented by tarot cards: the Emperor, the Empress, the Hierophant, the High Priestess, the Magician, and the Hermit. You folks should have descriptions of those in the thingies. What was sent you? As sort of the types of characters they are. But let me take a look at something really quick. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is when I start typing stuff, I'll do it on the Roll20. It'll be out of sight of the audience, but it'll be down below the playmat that I've got here, and we should all be able to get at it and sort of do stuff when we get to that point. Or wait a minute, pull this off real quick. It's basically just a who's who list. We can start setting that up. We'll jump on that when as we progress through here, I think. Let's see. So next thing we're doing is we're sort of, and is this is now basically sort of present day small town, Middle America. And I figure we'll only name the town if we feel the need to. If someone feels the need to name the town, please let me know, and we'll just throw a name at it. Let me see. They've got like a list of biker names on here. If you want, you can draw from that or make your own up when we get to it. So here's how I kind of want to do this first part with the prologue. It says to deal out the From Hell cards. There are 3 cards to 3 players, and one of these people will become the story's protagonist: the Avenger, the Rider, the Cosmic Fool, the one dealt the Fool, then someone else gets the Death card, and someone else gets the Devil card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them out and let you folks with face down and just basically let you folks draw them randomly. Unless anyone here absolutely does not wish to be the fool, the protagonist. So Ozzy, if you're opting out, then I'm going to go ahead and let's see.
Just a little bit too much to do for this late in the evening for me.
Oh, no worries. Okay, so it's going to be either Josh or James. So I'm going to lay a couple of cards out.
Are you not playing in this, or are you just
I am
facilitating? Okay.
I'm facilitating. No, I'm going to play. I'm also a player, but I figure for this first round, I figured it was going to be like 3 cards, 3 people.
Fair enough.
Well, it is 3 cards in the rules, even if there are more players, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and pull out this deck here. And what we will do, I think actually the fastest way to do this now that we're looking at it, well, let me just grab them. Let me grab the cards here. And if neither of you gets it, we're going to flip a coin or something. I'm going to deal out a couple of cards. And so one goes to you. One goes to you. Now, did either of you get the Fool card?
I did not.
Nor did I.
Okay, so we're going to decide randomly which one of you it is. Since I'm also going to be sort of facilitating because in that, I mean, I'm also playing, but I don't. Again, it is a lot to do. So I'd rather it be one of you fellas, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
If you want the role, I am willing to give it up rather than go randomly. If you don't care one way or another, I'll go random.
I have no strong feelings about it, so we can go random.
Okay. Random it is.
Very good. I would like each of you to just roll a d6.
Okay. Hold on a minute.
Highest one gets it.
Well, there's a 6 for me,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Yep. Congratulations. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and recall those. Actually, I'm going to. Let me see here. How am I going to do this? Yes. I need to change the permissions on these decks so I can choose cards as the GM. Let's see. Yay, organization. GM choose. There we go. Excellent. Now I'm going to recall the cards. And so we know Josh is playing the Fool. And so I'd like now James and Ozzy can draw from the deck to get the other 2 cards, whichever ones they end up getting.
It says ran out of cards in deck before drawing all cards.
There's something weird about this deck. I'm just going to deal them out. Hang on.
Okay, that's easy enough.
Okay. Okay. You should, James and Ozzy, you should each have a card now.
Indeed.
All right. One of you has the devil, one of you has death. And so in this first scene, this is the essentially, well, this is the prologue. The Fool begins play by narrating a suitably badass introduction for his character, showing the writer in their best or worst light. So basically, this is the showboating thing. This is how if this were a film, you would introduce the character. So you will start doing that, and when whoever it is that has death decides it's time for the writer to die, that is when you're going to reveal that card. And then narration will shift to you, whoever you are. And then after that, we go to the devil after the death is described. Are we good on the prologue?
I'm good with it.
All right, and let us get started. So, Josh, tell us about the writer.
All right. So Spider is tall and rangy with pockmarked skin like leather. He's got a nose that you could break glass over. Ratty black beard, long, greasy black hair, mirror shades, cigarettes rolled up in the sleeve. Kind of a living relic of 1978.
Nice.
And so it's the funeral for Meredith Granny Nicholson, a pillar of the community. She ran the local homeless shelter. She worked with BTA. She helps with the rehab clinic. Just a upstanding pillar of the community. She died surrounded by 3 generations of family at the age of 98. Just beloved. All the towns out there, the mayor, all the religious folks, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, everyone. And suddenly there's just this rumbling like the roar of hell as this giant, big old just animal of a custom chopper comes blazing through the graveyard, knocking over vases of flowers, knocking over old tombstones. And it's Spider on his hog. He's got a chain with like a boat hook on the end. He drives by, he hooks it into the casket, guns the engine, just starts dragging it in front of the horrified parishioners and mourners just through the graveyard and heading towards the highway.
Right. Okay, this one is going down because I'm putting out the death.
Excellent. So go ahead and pull out the death card and throw it down on the map.
Let's see. Flip. You see that now?
Yep.
I do.
Okay, cool.
So, what happens?
Obviously, as this was an important community figure, and the biker gang isn't that well regarded, there was some security. So at the entrance of the graveyard is a motorcycle cop who gives chase.
Okay. So, and you get to basically narrate this. Now, keep in mind that the gang, the motorcycle, you leave some opening narratively for there to have been other members of the motorcycle gang involved in this murder, in this death.
So, if there are other members at the funeral, or they could be waiting to do the what you call them, not parade, the escort. That's the word I was looking for.
Ah, okay. So what? So you have narrative control over how Spider dies. So what do we see happen to him?
I think the motorcycle cop chases him down, and he tries to take him down by shooting the tire of the bike. So he managed to hit the rear tire of the bike, and Spider loses control and careens into the ditch.
Okay. So he just falls into the ditch and basically...
Or hits a telegraph pole or something like that.
So hits a telegraph pole, falls into the ditch, breaks everything.
Yeah. Which means the phone lines go down as well.
Yeah, because, small town. Excellent. So, James, it is time for you to reveal the devil card and transition us into this bargain that the devil makes with Spider. And this can be a scene that you folks play out. So tell me. So describe for us what's happening, James.
So Spider feels everything in him just torn apart after he hits that ditch. His organs, his bones, everything. He knows he's dead, and he suspects, as the lights start going out, that this was a setup to begin with. And then he hears a voice in the darkness, Says, of course it was a setup, Spider. Don't you know? Everything is. And as he opens his eyes, he sees walking towards him. At first he just sees the boots. And then he looks up to the torn jeans, and he looks up and he looks up and he sees someone that looks exactly like him. And the biker figure looks down at him and takes off the mirrored shades, and there's just bloody holes where his eyes would be. And the figure kneels down next to Spider and he says, Spider, I gotta say, normally someone like you, I'd just keep around for company. I think you'd be good company down here. But and he takes 2 steps over to where the wreck of the bike is, and he sees the chain, and he sees the casket, and he says, you brought me a present. Granny never would have gotten down here on her own power. And he taps his hand on the casket. He says, that earns you a little time. You knew this was all a setup. What do you say I give you one night, my night, to put things right? Or, and he's about to speak more, and there's this crying voice from inside the casket, and he slams his fist down on it and says, shut up! I'm talking here. He turns back to Spider. He says, you get the picture. Go get what's yours. And
hey man, one night's all I need.
And everything fades to black again.
Awesome. Okay, Josh, you may pick up those 3 cards.
Okay.
And so you should be able to right-click them and pick them up.
Oops. Done.
Awesome. Okay. You're primarily going to be using the death card in the coming rounds, but you also will have the opportunity to use the devil as a boon that you will have personally as we transition over. So you go into the game proper. So the story is going to play out over 6 chapters, each symbolized by a different tarot card, which are going to be coming out of the 4-time deck, which I'm now going to make visible. Let me go ahead and pull those up here. All right, now so the way this works, everyone except for the Fool gets a card from the In Leathers deck also. So let me go ahead and select from here our current scene. Our current scene, the first scene, is the Hanged Man, which is the funeral. And let me move up here so I can flip the card. There we go. And so I'm going to deal everyone except Josh a card from the In Leathers deck. Let me grab the In Leathers deck. Also here. And these are going to be dealt out randomly, it looks like. So these will tell us what roles we have as members of the Devil's Dozen. Each of the leathers represents members of the Devil's Dozen who may have betrayed the rider. And the others are going to be, it says, face down. I'm actually going to go ahead and, let me deal out 3, and then I'll take 3 and put the other 3 and put them on the table. So 1 card goes to me, 1 card goes to James, 1 card goes to Ozzy. Okay. And now as for the remaining cards, go ahead and see if I can draw and just put them on the table. Because Josh has an ability to bring anyone he wants of the leathers into the scene, if he wants them there. And so Josh has the ability to pull up any of those cards and throw them in, and we have to find someone to play them. So it's
which cards are these?
So these are the leathers.
Okay.
And so those are the cards I just threw down there in the bottom right-hand corner.
Okay,
there.
so just pick those up and add them to my deck?
You can, well, if you want, you can flip them over. It's not really going to be too big a deal. But this is sort of a thing where we can sort of reveal as we go sort of the characters that we're playing in this scene and describe them. So the way this is going to work... oh yes, let me see. I got to deal a boon to each player other than the Fool, and the rest of the boons, it says, are also going to be in there. It says stack face, so it doesn't matter. I can actually just leave it here. Okay, I'm going to show the boon deck. So many decks of cards. So we each are going to start out with a boon card. Okay.
These leathers cards I have, do I get them every scene, or is this all for the entire game?
They are, well, they're part of the stack, so you're going to want to put them at the end of this scene. You're going to want to put them back so we can trade them if need be.
Very good.
So yeah, the leathers cards are just, you don't actually play them per se. Those are just, it's like if you want them in the scene, you can. So that's the deal here. So let's see, for the boon cards, basically, so a couple things about boons. Boons are essentially are a way for you to avoid death by throwing them into the mix when it's time to figure out if you're going to die or not. If Josh ends up picking a boon card instead of the death card, then that holds off death for a bit. You can also get an additional boon at some point. If at any point in this Tale of Revenge it says, it's gratifying to see the malefactor's guilt revealed prior to their comeuppance. When a player has introduced their leather to a scene, they can gain a bonus boon from the stack by explicitly having that leather reveal their part in the rider's betrayal. Each leather can only provide a single guilt boon during a game. When the stack is exhausted, no more guilt boons can be earned. So we each have 3. That means there are 3 left. So it's basically we can each do 1 more for any leather, any one leather that we're playing. So we're going. So let's see. What's going to happen next is we're going to transition to the funeral. Also, let me know if I end up going too fast. You need me to stop and explain anything?
This is Spider's funeral. This
is Spider's funeral. Yes, yeah. The new funeral. Spider also gets a funeral. So, the way the funeral works, the Fool begins the first scene describing his own funeral. Each player chooses one to flip over their leathers card and introduce their character to the scene. Similarly, the Fool can flip over his Fool card and enter the scene if he wants. Also, the Fool may narrate any of the leathers in play into the scene, forcing players to flip over the corresponding leather cards. To determine which of the leathers are in play, the Fool may consult face-down leather cards. Oh, okay. So yeah, that was it. Basically, so the ones that are in play are the ones that we currently have in hand, but you can kind of make us reveal them if you want us in the scene, whoever's playing. So the first time a character enters play, a brief description is mandatory. Naming the character is a good idea too. Players retain narrative control of their characters, what they think, say, and do throughout the game. Everything else is up for grabs. So we're going to get into this a little bit. There'll be, if there's a minor conflict, we can address that when it happens. Basically, when Josh decides that, so Josh will set the scene. We'll start playing. And then when Josh decides it's time for people to start dying, he will declare it, and then I'll explain how that works. This can be at the hands of the rider or indirectly through some other means that, Josh can just decide that there's like a pit of vipers waiting nearby to attack. It's entirely dependent on, because the vengeance can come in many forms. So it just depends on how he wants to set it up. So, Josh, describe for us Spider's funeral.
Okay, right quick. So if I'm introducing new people into the scene, it's using the cards that you and Zal have, not the.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you want to introduce any of the leathers, any of the named leathers, and I'll go ahead and I'll put the titles down there again. The Emperor, the Empress, the Hierophant, the High Priestess, the Magician, and the Hermit. However that's interpreted.
Right.
Then you can make us do that basically based on who we have. But other NPCs can be there, and we can whoever wants to play them can play them. It's not a big deal.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. All right. So, the funeral. It is unseasonably cold and gray, even for up here in the Great White North. It's dry and icy. Not a lot of snow, but just that kind of like Arctic dry chill. Out in front of the Greasy Bastard Bar and Grill, which is the standard hangout for the Devil's Dozen.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
There's the wake outside. The closed casket for Spider is on the back of a beat up old flatbed truck, surrounded by like the cheapest ass floral wreaths and arrangements people could find. Closed casket, they basically just scooped up what they could find of Spider and kind of put him in there, so it's kind of even in the cold, it's kind of rank because his body was so banged up it couldn't hold like embalming fluid or anything. So more than willing to get it in the ground as quickly as he can. And the Devil's Dozen's assembled. Everyone looks kind of nervous and a little twitchy, more than actually sad or distressed. Just a lot of furtive glances at each other. The cops across the street at the old abandoned liquor store, just kind of watching, expecting trouble, but hoping there isn't any, just because of the nature of the gang. And the Hierophant. Oh, I don't have the Hierophant. Oh, someone got the Hierophant? Oops, I grabbed the wrong thing.
Got it.
Okay.
I've got the Hierophant.
Yeah, he's given the eulogy.
Okay. All right. Then in that case, let me go ahead and pull out the Hierophant and see who that is. All right. Flip the card. Okay. So let me see. The Hierophant, it's like a spiritual chapter head, power behind the throne, maybe? Who knows? So I'm going to say that the Hierophant is... so many names here. I'm going to go with one of the names here. I'm going to say the Hierophant's name is Wild Bill. And just basically is so called because he seems, he's from down south. As so many of my characters seem to be lately. And I'll say that he basically is... He's got like he's got an old sort of priest's collar and but underneath is kind of a leather jacket, and he's wearing jeans and sunglasses. He looks like he's as he usually does. He looks like he's about 3.5 liquors in, 3.5 shots in on something. Is a cigarette, his sort of tousled hair, kind of a Tom Waits-ish looking figure, one can imagine. And as he steps forward to talk about, say, Spider was an anxious fellow. Was always wanting to make sure that we had made our mark on this town. And for that, he did us proud. Everybody here knew what it was that he was about. Everybody in town, as a result, knew what we were about. Whenever he was around, you knew it. And he sort of glances up, sort of backhandedly at the cops across the street and turns around again. He made sure of it. He was gonna be missed. And he raises he raises a glass that he's poured some of his flask into, and he pours it down over the sort of the box that they've got. Anyone else want to say anything? Utter silence.
Nope. Hold on.
Okay.
So the Emperor.
Get on with it.
Leader of the chapter at Boss Man.
Yeah. Nick looks like if you made Santa out of scar tissue. He's missing an eye. He's got this scraggly, long white beard. He looks like he's about 500 years old, but built out of wire and leather. He's been sitting most of this time because outside of riding, his legs aren't that great anymore. And he stands up. He's got this gnarled piece of wood as a cane, and he says, "Yeah, everyone knew what Spider was about. He helped us. He helped us take this town, and everyone saw him do it. But let's face facts. Spider was a friggin' idiot. I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, but man, he brought down problems on us. If anything, that last little bit ripping up a funeral, I mean, sure, it was fun, but..." And he too kind of looks over his shoulder at the cops. Not like we got anything to worry about, but damn, son, you were a fucking idiot. And he motions for a couple other of the people in the gang to start moving the now alcohol-soaked coffin to the small pit that they've dug for him.
Anyone else like to say any words? Lastly, move the meat of the departed to its final destination.
Good riddance.
Who's that? Who just spoke?
This is 1 Foot Willie. 1 Foot Willie is relatively young. He's maybe in his early 20s. A recruit. And he's 1 Foot Willie because he came back from, let's say, Afghanistan with 1 foot less because you stepped on a landmine.
Oh, wow.
And he's a rather crude prosthetic he built himself because he is the mechanic for the gang.
Oh, wow. Can we see the card?
1 moment. So he's the hermit. Let's see.
I'll go ahead and type the name in if you want to.
Let's see. Oh, here we go.
1 Foot Torelli, you said?
1 Foot Willie.
1 Foot Willie. It was One-Eyed Willie earlier, but then we already had a one-eyed man, so I thought I'll change that.
Also, what was the Emperor's name, just so that I have that?
Nick.
Excellent. Okay. Cool. So that's happening. For goodness sake.
So he's rarely seen outside his shop.
Thanks for coming out, Will. Let's put the poor bastard in the ground. I guess this we now do.
All right. Playing ye old death card here.
Death.
Death!
Okay.
Did I get out there? No, it did not. There it is.
Yep, can see it now.
Yay.
All right. So, Nick
Mm-hmm.
making himself a target of karma.
I see how it is. Okay.
So, you've got your big old 40 of Steel Reserve
Mm-hmm.
beer there, and suddenly feel something crawling across your hand, and you look down, and it's just hundreds of Black Widow spiders crawling out of the top of the can and across your hand, and then you start coughing, and just like it starts with just one or two, and then many, and then way too many spiders start crawling out of your mouth.
After all these years of sleeping with my mouth open.
That's what happens.
Shit.
So
So do you want to go to
So
the
yeah, so here's now where we go to the mechanics. So when you flip to the scenes beginning around the scene, the fool flips death over and targets one of the leathers, placing the card in front of him. It is Willie that is being targeted.
Nope, Nick.
Nick. Sorry, Nick that's being targeted because Jim can't remember anything. So Nick's being targeted, and so let's see. So we're gonna have Death and the Emperor in this stack, and then does anyone want to throw any boons in to try to help Nick not die? I presume.
Do boons work a bit like what they depict?
Well, that's when they're resolved, they can, yes. If they get picked, yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna throw my own boon in because
Okay.
it makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, you just put the card face
Yeah,
up
that's
down on
that's far nastier at death, I think.
yeah.
So flip over this as well.
Yeah. Okay, and so you're adding your boon. Okay.
Ooh, Wheel of Fortune.
yes.
All right. So those are all.
I've got the
boons.
lovers.
So, the target is James. So now here's the. Yeah. So okay, good. James, you don't have any cards currently, which is good because what you're going to need to do is pick up all of those cards that not the ones over here on the left, but the
Right.
all four
The
of
one-
those cards on the right. And then you're going to lay them down in a line, face down. It should automatically put them face down.
Okay. I'm
And
trying
you
to
get
make
to
that
choose
happen.
sort of what order they go in.
Okay. Hold on. We try to make this into a line here.
How do I play boons? I don't have any boons.
You have right now. You have the Devil, which you can play.
Those work as the devil and
Yeah. So if death, if in a moment, if you end up not, if he ends up not dying, you can play a boon to. Well, you can play the Devil card to flip over to get a second flip of the.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
You, you can only play a boon if death was not flipped.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it says here.
Yeah,
Right.
and so Josh will now get to decide which card. Receive the images from the cards. It says. Decide psychically which card has death under it, and you flip that card over, and if it's death, then Nick dies. It is not the Emperor. Okay, so you now have the option of. Well, I think we get to do a little narration on that, but then you have the option to play your Devil card if you want to get a second. If you want to turn over a second card.
All right, so the fool flips his chosen card, describe the outcome of the scene, drawing imagery, and the leathers card flips. So something changes for her, him, they, which saves them from death.
Yeah. So I think what the way we'll play this, just to make it simple, is so Josh, if you want to go ahead and leave it, then that'll mean that. James will then narrate something that changes for Nick, that saves them from death. If, on the other hand, you want to get another shot, you just play the devil card, and then that will you get to flip over another card. Okay, so you're playing the devil. So now you.
Yeah,
get
he
to...
called Spider a fucking moron. So
Yeah.
that's not gonna stand.
I see how it is.
So you get a second flip. Wheel of Fortune. Okay. So now what happens is that let's see, when you get the thing, the full many, okay, the boon was flipped. The owner decides how that boon saved the target from death. Who had Wheel of Fortune?
That was me.
Okay, so you now get to decide how that boon, Wheel of Fortune, essentially comes up that saves you from death in this scene.
Okay, well, there's obviously a little bit of panic as Nick is suddenly vomiting forth spiders. And while the coffin is being moved and it is soaked in alcohol, more alcohol is splashed about, and due to the chaotic nature of everyone around, someone's got to be smoking a cigarette. And I think the preacher was, actually.
Yes, he was. He was just lighting up.
And the two together it's fortunate enough that fire starts up. And
someone knocks over a tiki torch.
Yes. Nick is practically made of scar tissue, so he has no problem just thrusting his hand into the fire and letting the spiders burn. And as he does so, he says, "Just like Spider in hell."
Yeah. Well, there we are. So that actually brings us to the end of that scene. So, that's one lucky escape. So here's how this works. So let me make sure I remember how this. I think I know how it works. Let me make sure I've got this right.
I collect all the boon cards I flip. That's how I get boon cards.
Yep.
That
And
answers my previous question.
the devil goes to whoever has the fewest boon cards. In this case, there's if there's a tie, then you get to choose who gets it.
Who's got how many boon cards currently?
You and Jim are the only ones with boon cards right now.
I think. So Josh, you're gonna get the Wheel of Fortune card. I already have a boon card. James and Ozzy do not currently have boon cards.
We'll go with James since
Okay.
he
So
survived.
So
they
James,
stay
you can pick up the devil.
on the deck, on the mat.
No, you, James, you can pick up the devil.
Good.
So you've got that as a boon card.
Mhm.
And I believe everyone. Now let's see. Everyone can pick up their. If they so desire, they can pick up their.
Yep. Other cards, unflipped boons return to the owners. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So anything that didn't get flipped over goes back to the owner.
Does that work? Take cards. Right. Okay.
And so that means, Josh, you get the death card back as well.
Yeah, fool always retains the death card.
Yeah. And the Emperor also goes back to James
Oh, okay.
for now, because then there's an option when we switch scenes. So now when we go to as we're going over to the next scene, Fool retains the death card. Seeing the Fool collects any boons he flipped during the scene. All boons played by the Fool are discarded, except the devil is going to move around. Each player decides whether they will play the same leather again next scene, keeping the card, or return the card to the stack and be dealt another random leather for the next scene. So Ozzy, James, do you want to keep your same characters, or do you want to go to a different character?
I like this character. Let's see what happens.
I'd like to switch to someone else. Let's
Okay.
see.
So you actually go ahead and put your card back down,
Sure.
and And go ahead and.
Should I turn in the leathers cards I'm carrying?
Yes, please. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah, there.
I'm gonna recall those to the deck.
Okay.
Let's hope I can.
Wait, hold on. There we go.
Okay, I'm gonna hit the recall button. On table.
Okay.
There's 6. It says on the table. None in player's hands. I'm looking at the wrong deck. There we go. No, wait. It says 6 on the. Okay, that's right. Oh, that's right. Let me. I liked my.
I think James and I should both have a boon, and that's it.
I'm gonna
Right.
pick up. I'm gonna
And
pick
you
up
as
the
well, Tim.
Hierophant. Because I'm gonna go ahead and play the Hierophant again because I wasn't going to, and then he turned into Tom Waits, and now I feel a terrible desire to keep playing
you don't want to get rid of Tom Waits.
So
It's national
I will
treasure.
take that card. Ozzy, do you want to keep the Hermit, or do you want to?
I'm going to keep the Hermit, yeah.
Okay, go ahead and take that card.
Okay. Hang on. Take. Yep.
Okay. Now I can recall the cards safely. Hopefully. 4 on the table. Okay. I'm going to shuffle them. Alright. And... James, you should be able to draw from the unlimited... Actually, I'll go ahead and deal it to you. That way, you know,
Yeah,
don't
that's
worry.
easier.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, you should have a new card now.
Yep,
All
I
right.
do.
Excellent. Cool. So we're gonna move on. As soon as I can click on this, there we go. Alright. We're gonna move on to the next scene, which is the Reckoning. So, the Reckoning, rules are the same, but this is represented, let me see, by the tower. And this is a former stronghold of the Devil's Dozen, suffers destruction. It could be like a torch bar, an explosion of the penthouse, garage overrun by militia, warehouse leveled by a cyclone.
I think we mentioned the ex-liquor store earlier.
Yeah, that's true. There is an ex-liquor store the cops were hanging out at a moment ago. Deal each player without one a card from In Leathers, which we just did. The Fool begins describing the scene unless there was a death in the previous scene, in which case the player of the deceased sets the current scene. So the Fool's going to set this scene again. When setting the scene, don't worry too much about the scene descriptor, and it's the characters that make the game. If in doubt, go with something simple that logically follows from the previous scene. Again, the participants choose when to flip their cards over and introduce their characters to the scene. Follow normal rules for minor conflicts and marking for death. So, Josh, yeah, you feel free to bring us into the Reckoning scene.
So this is a day later, and there's an old barn out on an old farmstead just outside of town, where the gang keeps all the guns and ammo that they run to and from and across the Canada border. And it is on fire, and it is burning bright and bad, and there's the pop of ammo burning off. The person, the young pledge that watches over, that stays in the farmhouse and watches over things, is frantically trying to call anyone he can on the phone to let them know what's going on.
Who do we think arrives first?
That's happening.
I think that's going to be one Foot Willie because stuff needs saving. So he's grabbing the fire extinguisher from the shop, jumps on his bike, and obviously, if there are any gang members in the shop at the time or hanging out around, come! We need to save the load. We need to save the depot.
Oh, crap. Okay.
Grab fire extinguishers, what you can, big shovels, whatnot.
So, yeah, Bill will come along and try desperately to he basically he gets there. He just sort of he gets to the scene, just sort of stands there for a moment, just watching it burn. And he's like, "Oh crap!" He starts once again looking at this thing, and he's on the phone, trying to talk angrily to his contact on the fire department, who is supposed to take care of this kind of stuff. Clearly, there's an issue. We pay you rather a lot to keep shit like this from happening. You want to explain to me why this is happening right now? And there's basically like
there is the growl of an approaching motorcycle, and following the fall off of the sound from it, there is laughter. Rosie has shown up, and she sees various members of the gang rushing back and forth, and she smiles at all the chaos, and she strolls over to the preacher's side because she knows that the preacher has always sort of had this thing about the boss's girl, and it's always something she can tease him with a little. And she puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "I don't know, maybe we should let it go. You know how I like to watch things burn."
That's our entire watch things burn. That's our whole defense plan in there.
You don't think that Nick can take care of us all?
Well, yeah, using the stuff that's in there.
You need to think more creatively. And
that's a terrible habit.
and she walks over to the side and just, there are people rushing back and forth trying to put this out, but she is just staring in psychotic glee at all the fire.
Come on, grab a shovel. Make it help. Don't just stand around.
Ozzy, go ahead and put your leather out there.
Okay.
Fool's coming out too.
Oh, the man, the myth himself.
So, Wild Bill, you hear it. You kind of feel the hairs on the back of your neck pricking, like you're being watched. And you turn around and you see right behind you. It can't be. It looks like Spider. That kind of long shadow that he had, and the vintage leathers that haven't been in style for 30 years. But where his face should be, it's just like a black smudge in the air. Silver glint of where the shades would be. And kind of slippering in your head like gritty oil. Just like, "Preacher, you let them know I know they done me wrong, and that I'm bringing reckoning, hell straight to them. And don't think for a moment that you're immune to this either."
The preacher drops the phone and just sort of backs up and sort of looking, his hands shaking, kind of like takes his glasses off, he rubs his eyes, he looks up again.
"Oh, I'm gone."
Takes his hands shaking, he takes this flask out of his pocket and he starts drinking.
And so death card come out. So everyone was so proud you guys got your hand on that little small cache of law rockets. Gonna bring in so much money. And Yeah, old 1 foot Willie. Man, you're Afghan vet, you've heard that sound before.
Mm-hmm.
As you're standing there vainly, heroically trying to spray down the fire with your fire extinguisher, and you hear this muffled thump and a whoosh, and a flaming ball of death comes shrieking right at your face
Ah!
from inside the burning barn.
Foot is in the wooden foot is in the fire.
All right, so anyone want to? I'm going to go ahead and play. I'm going to go ahead and
No. The only thing that's left is the foot. Is the fake foot.
well, it could be. We have to decide. We have to find out if you die or not.
All right. Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my boon into play for you.
And I can put a boon into this play as well, right?
You can. I think that the way that you use boons is sort of redraws, though.
Yes, I can play a boon as my own describing helps. Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, and I'm obviously using my boon as well.
I'll go ahead and flip my things and see. I've got justice somehow. And so I believe, it's going to be the Hermit, Death, Justice, and the Lovers. Going to be the cards. And so that gets picked up again by Ozzy. So go ahead and pick those 4 cards up.
And my own leather. Okay.
And Death.
Oh no, death stays with the fool.
No, you pick it up right now because you're gonna
what?
You're gonna deal them out.
Ah,
So
okay.
Go ahead and pick up death. So those 4 cards, your leather, death, justice, and the lovers, are the ones you're now going to put back on the table. But now we won't be able to see what order you're putting them in.
Hang on, I picked the fool, which I shouldn't have. No, it's completely gone. Oh,
Yeah, I took it.
oh right, okay. So I put out death,
Yeah, lay out those 4
justice, and death, justice, and my.
Well, yeah, all 4 of the
leather.
and the boon that I threw in.
And the boon I played. Okay,
So
just
all
put
4
them
of those
out
cards.
before I. Let's do it that way. Okay, here we go.
And now Josh gets to pick a card.
I don't see any of the cards out.
Let me shuffle. Oh, because they are not flipped.
Well, no,
Did you
they,
put 'em
yeah,
on the-
they,
did you put 'em on the-
they're face down. They're supposed to be face down. So you're.
Are
fine
they on the
there.
playmat currently?
They should be on
They
the
are,
playmat
yeah.
currently.
I can hover over them and I don't see them.
They're,
Hold on, let
they're
me.
just under the
you might need to reroll.
leather.
Yeah, I gotta refresh my.
Reload. Reroll.
Hold on.
Maybe to refresh.
Yeah, I'm getting like the crosshairs when I'm hovering over them, but they're invisible to me.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm reloading. Roll 20.
It's 4 cards. There's. Oh, wait until this.
I believe you. There they are.
No, I just wanted to give you a spatial idea where the cards are. So they're directly underneath the word leather are 2 cards,
Yeah, I see them.
and
now.
then 1 each to left and right.
Yeah, he reloaded.
gotcha.
He's good. Cool.
All right. I'm gonna choose this one.
Ah, the Hermit. Once again.
That's me.
So, Josh, do you wish to play a boon to counter?
Oh heck yeah!
All right.
Not there.
Go ahead and make sure that's flip your boon over. You'll work him. And
So that cheap prosthetic foot of yours gives out just as you think you're out of danger.
Right. Okay.
and you get a
Just
target.
kind of slips right off the. You haven't been to the VA for a while to get it refitted,
Hmm.
and it kind of slips off your stump.
So take your next draw then.
Okay.
Damn,
So,
I'm bad at killing people.
darn it. Okay, so the lovers, unless you've got another boon in there.
Nope, that's it.
Okay. So you get to so the lovers. I think Ozzy. I think that was yours. Yes.
That was mine, yeah.
Okay, so you can describe how that saves your life.
So I might have lost my foot, but sort of now I recover. And so can I introduce a character at this point?
Sure.
Yeah, and so there is my... I actually don't know she exists, but I have a secret admirer. And she comes along. She was part of the party who helped put out, or tried to help put out the fire. And she sort of, catches me as I almost fall over and drags me to safety.
Excellent.
Let's say her name is Sandy.
Sandy. Okay. I will make a note of that. Sometimes it gets a little weird sometimes trying to type in this. Sandy, the admirer. All right. Okay, so that brings to a close the second scene, and I think what we're going to go ahead and do is take a quick break since we're about halftime, and then we shall resume and see what happens for the rest of this Devil's Night.
Fantastic.
I'll be back in about 5-10 minutes. See you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
We have returned, and we're now seeing what is going to happen in this very strange tale that we're telling about these bikers. We've entered into scene 3, which is a new path, represented by the star card. A change of priorities for the rider. Following your own star, vengeance takes a back seat, at least until the rest of the gang show up. So, nobody died, so you actually also get to frame this scene, Josh. So,
All right.
What does this mean? What's happening? What's going on?
All right, so the Black Oak Trailer Park is kind of ramshackle and run down and scazzy, even by the dubious standards of Midwest trailer parks. And out of the most run-down, rusty, 50-year-old aluminum siding trailer comes young Billy, a lanky teen of about 16 or 17. He's got his father who walked out on him, and his mother good 12 years ago, out for cigarettes, never come back. He's got his father's beaky face and the beginnings of what will never be a admirable mustache and beard. Beat up jean jacket with like a Pantera t-shirt cut up and safety pin to the back. And he's heading off to school. He doesn't want to do it, but mom's drunk and passed out again, so he may as well. As he walks out into the driveway, ready to go find the bus, there, sitting in the driveway, gleaming great big black motorcycle, looks distressingly like the one his father, his deadbeat dad, who he never knew, or barely knew, used to drive. And it's got a carton of unfiltered Marlboro Reds sitting on the seat, and a note that says, "Sorry I missed your birthday," and a picture of a Black Widow spider underneath it.
Ooh.
Nice.
Ooh. Interesting. So, yeah, I think that they're sorry, go ahead.
And then theoretically the gang shows up.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's gonna be a thing there. What was that kid's name again?
Billy.
So,
Bill.
So when he's
Billy and Billy, right?
When Billy's looking at his belated birthday gift, there is a voice that calls out from just a few trailer homes away as Rosie steps out. Nice ride. You know how to use that thing?
I'm willing to learn.
Really? Well, I always like boys who are willing to learn. And she just stalks towards him while the sound of other motorcycles start approaching.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So a bike pulls up, and on it is a woman who looks to be about was maybe in her 30s somewhere. It's hard to tell because she's taken a lot of punishment in her life. She has she's very close cropped hair. She's wearing kind of a little bandana and glasses. She has a jacket on, and her skin is covered in tattoos of actually different. I'll say they're Viking runes, basically. So of the the sort that one can find in the history books. And she just sort of pulls up, pulls the aviator glasses down a bit and just sort of is looking over them. This is Vulture. is what she goes by. Vulture just sort of glances over at Rosie, and it's like, "You gonna teach that kid to ride?"
Oh, I'm gonna teach that kid all sorts of things. Hi, Mama.
I don't know as he's entirely ready to learn all sorts of things. Maybe you want to just keep it to a simple riding lesson for now.
Ellie is blushing furiously, unsure what the hell's going on.
How you doing, Bill?
Who are you people?
She just sort of looks down at her at her patch. I don't know. Who do you think we are?
You look like the kind of people Mom told me not to hang around with. Wind up dead like my dad.
Well, your mom's got a point.
Oh,
But at
please.
the same time, you gotta wonder, how'd that happen, right?
Who's leading
Gotta know
him
the right
down
people.
wrong paths now?
Well, I'm just saying, if the kid wants to know the right people, then he can know the right people, and it's fine when he's ready.
Rosie just rolls her eyes and walks back to her bike.
Mom said Dad was a no-good son of a bitch, and he hung around with a bunch of no-good trash.
She's sort of like... Vulture suppresses a chuckle. Just shaking her head. Well, kid, you don't want to believe everything you hear.
And this is when Montfort Villiers arrives, riding pillion on his bike, but Sandy's driving. Because it's a bit tricky with only one foot. Because you need to work the pedal with one and hold the bike, put the other foot down. But nah, it works when he's got his prosthetic, but not otherwise.
Yeah. You really all right? Yeah. I think we were just.
Blow my foot off.
Wish I could say I was surprised.
Well, at least it was the foot that was already off. Just need to fix the bloody prosthetic.
Yeah, we can take care of that. I think we were.
I really need to get to school.
Oh.
And all.
Let's give you an escort.
Yeah, I guess that's the
really?
least we can do.
Oh, okay.
Rosie walks over to the young man and says, "Tell you what, since you don't know how to ride yet, why don't I drive and you just put your arms around me?"
Furiously blushing and sweating even in the cold. Yeah, okay, sure.
And she hops on his bike, puts the cigarettes in her own pockets, and starts it up.
All right. Vulture will follow into formation.
Oh, will this be a scene without death? Is that possible?
Oh, no.
Oh no!
Oh,
No!
Oh, goodness, no. All right, so as you guys are driving, young Billy to school in this leather-clad escort line. Vulture, on your bike, you notice it starts to go, starts slowing down, and like you hear the engine like gunning and straining, like you're driving through mud, and you look down, and like the asphalt has just become like this mass of webs filled with like desiccated bones and roadkill and human skulls, just like this mat of like spider webs, like what a trapdoor spider might make, or like a funnel web spider. And your bike just chugs and dies, and you start sinking into this morass.
Crap!
Slowly. You feel bony hands grabbing at your ankles as they sink beneath the spider web, the black and gray spider webs.
And so yeah, she's just like very confused, struggling to try to get out. No.
Oh, and there's a shadowy figure up on a hill, watching it all.
Ah! So I think I'm going to throw in my boon on this.
It's that thing again.
And does anyone else...
He's like way off in the distance on top of a hill, just watching the lean silhouette, like Charlie Sheen in The Wraith.
The vulture is being vulched. Does anyone else want to throw in a boon?
I would, but I can't.
No.
All right.
We haven't had any death yet. I mean...
Yeah, let's see what happens. All right, I'm going to pick these up. Dee-dee-dee. Dee-dee-dee. I shall place them randomly.
Kind of want to run this with like a Old West Gunslinger gang.
Ooh, that would be great.
Ooh, that would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Like a not Pale Rider, well, kind of Pale Rider, but more like oh crap.
Yeah, the other one.
High Plains Drifter.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be very cool. Oh man, see, I want to do that now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so there we are. Go ahead and pick a card. Aha!
Survival.
So she starts struggling out. Do you want to play? Ah!
Right, I do.
Okay.
But not. Okay.
All right, so we'll bring him in. Nick, who is out here with the group waiting for you guys to do the talking to the kid. Nick, your illicit lover. Seems this is kind of a good time to maybe silence that rumor up as he runs to try and help you, quote, quote, but just kind of starts pushing you down.
Oh my god!
I do.
No, I got this. I got you, Vulture. Don't worry. Shove,
you son of a bitch! It's not... You know why this is happening, don't you? You know why this is happening. I didn't. I called it. I called everyone like you said and told them to keep away, but to keep away from that funeral. But I didn't know this was going to happen. I would like to take a guilt boon. Just in case I need it. All right. Well, I mean the cards are down, so I can't play it now. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Right.
You get another draw.
This has been remarkably death-free.
I know.
Wow.
50-50 chances left.
I know. What's happening? What is even happening? So Justice, that's my card. So as this is going on, and I think Vulture sees kind of what he's doing, and she grits her teeth, and you son of a bitch, and she basically reaches behind her, pulls out her holdout knife, and stabs him in the leg, or she wants to. Aims for the leg. There's a separate conflict mechanic, so we're going to say he's not going to get terribly hurt by this, but sort of attempts to stab him in the leg, catches him off balance, enough to pull herself up out of it and stagger away to the side of the road. And she just sort of looks, she just gives him a death stare and says to Nick, "Son of a bitch, you remember who the only person who understands you in this goddamn place is before you go trying to shove them under again." And she's going to, I think, was the bike submerged, or is it or is it still there? I don't know.
It was sinking like up to your ankles at least.
So she's sort of backing away from the hellscape. She's going to hop on the nearest available bike, which might be Nick's, and since she's pissed off enough, and takes off on it.
Well done.
That was weird.
That was incredibly weird. So I
Says
think
Billy.
What is going on?
All right. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle Vulture back in, just to make.
I snagged my cards.
Yeah, shuffle the Empress in too. I'm gonna get someone else for the next scene.
Okay. And let's see. Oh, Justice. Did you grab the Justice card?
I grabbed Justice, and I grabbed my devil cards or whatever they were.
And then there's this Lover's card that's sitting here, and I can't remember.
That
that was
gets
the one
discarded.
you put. Okay, yeah.
That gets discarded.
All right, cool. I'm gonna pull that down here with the others. Awesome. Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize there's notes down here. Look at all that.
Ah, someone's been typing. Okay. So for the next scene, dealing a card, I'm going to shuffle, and I'm going to deal to myself and James. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Setting the scene again. Good lord.
I know. Why won't we die?
I'm trying, man.
I'm defenseless currently.
Okay, so our next scene is... Where is it? It is Dark Deeds. And this is represented by the moon. And this is in the dead of night. Sin tastes the sweetest. This could be a drug-fueled orgy, a grisly sacrifice, a screaming bloody murder, someone screaming bloody murder, a shadow-cloaked thievery. It could be anything. Something terrible and illicit is happening in the dead of night now, here on Devil's Night. And
so,
the scene.
The small cemetery where you buried this poor sap. Middle of the night, lit by electric lanterns, as people are there digging up Spider's body, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. We thought he was dead, but this weird stuff keeps happening.
Watching us from somewhere.
And it's snowing heavily. It's about 15 below.
Ooh.
The wind is blowing. Snow is falling in like the heavy, thick flakes. It's got visibility for about 15 feet, and that's it. And the ground is already frozen, so it's hard work.
Under her breath, Vulture, you can see the steam coming from her lips as she is muttering words that are definitely not English and definitely not new. These are old words that mirror the runes that she has tattooed on her arms. And as she draws a knife across her own palm, the blood steams as it hits the ice. Something has gone horribly wrong with Spider. Something has gone horribly wrong with all that they did in order to make sure he died. Something has come back, and she'll be damned if she lets it take her. But she might not care so much about the rest of her brethren.
So is this just her, or is this a blood sacrifice scene?
It could be whoever we want to have in the scene. I'm going to say that sitting a bit of a ways away in a truck because he does not currently have access to his bike, Nick is just sort of watching, knowing better than to get any closer than this. The Vulture and the others who are here know that he's here, because he's here sort of overseeing, but he's been stabbed in the leg once already this evening, and he doesn't want to deal with anything else. He wants to get all of this out of the way before dealing with the discipline problem that has arisen in the Devil's Dozen.
Yeah, but Willy's definitely here because he's had 2 close brushes with death already, and this needs to stop. So if there's someone who can help put a stop to this, then he'll be happy to help, or put his money's worth in.
Okay, go ahead and throw him down there.
Yep, hang on.
All right, so slightly off screen there, where Nick is. You see in the dark in the snow, you see a small orange light, like the cherry of a cigarette. And you hear a voice, all too familiar voice, goes, "Subtlety never was my best attribute. Guess I have to take care of this myself." And walking through the snow, it's Spider, his head again just a black smudge of nothing, with the mirror shades floating in the middle. Dressed in leather, cigarette just kind of dangling in the darkness as he walks towards you.
And just sort of trying to, doing that thing where he doesn't try to, Nick doesn't visibly flinch, but he just sort of, Wild Bill said you were around somehow.
Got a new gang I'm running with. They really want to meet you, especially the big guy downstairs. Getting closer.
I don't think I'm ready to patch into a different club yet. And he's going to pull a gun on you and attempt to shoot you down. I have a feeling he's not going to be successful. But if we want, we can do this as a minor conflict, or we can just say that the bullets bounce off you. Oh, Death's here. Never mind.
So yeah, as you shoot at him, it blows big holes in his leather jacket. It's like, you touched another man's leathers. You know that ain't good. And he unzips the front of his jacket and pulls it open, and just like 8 giant spider legs come ratcheting out from the darkness beneath, grabbing at you, ready to pull you in.
If nothing else, Spider remains on brand.
This is true. This is very true.
With that marketing class at the community college.
Well, I'm going to throw in that guilt boon that I just just picked up. And anyone else want to throw in any boons or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll throw in mine. Just the only reason I'm throwing this one in is because I know there's somehow I ended up taking it back. I know there's a mechanic once this encounter is over.
Okay. Well. All right, I'm going to pick these up. All right. We can just put these up here for right now. All right, cards. Let's see. Can I see all the cards? Yes, I can. Okay, good. we go. Flip card.
Ooh,
Ah.
what's that do?
So that's still technically a boon. Because now that was James. You played that, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So you get to decide, based on the fact that we drew the devil, how it is that that Nick gets out of this. Unless, of course, Josh wants to play a boon.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Justice.
Make another draw.
Your crimes come due.
All right.
Jeez.
So, temperance. That was my boon. So let's see.
I can't even imagine at this point.
Let's see. Yes. So
Enough drinking for me.
that's right. It's probably actually. Thank you. I was looking for an idea. So Nick will just trying to think fast. He picks up the bottle of vodka that is sitting there that he's been taking hits at. He's like, he throws it down in front of the oncoming spiders and tosses a match down, and then immediately tears off in the truck. It's like a pickup truck, basically. As everyone digging sort of looks up and sees this blaze that he's started, and it seems their leader has torn off for some reason. Started a fire and torn off. But
That's fair.
I expect they don't see anything else. All right, so Josh, you grab temperance, and the devil will go to whoever has the fewest boons.
And no one has any at the moment.
Okay, so Josh, you get to choose who gets the devil.
Well, I have one currently because I'm taking the temperance.
Okay. So you get to assign that to somebody.
Who had it last?
I did.
Go ahead and take it, Ozzy.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the Emperor back in.
Where's it gone?
The devil, right?
The devil, not temperance, right?
Yeah. I'm going to keep the high priestess, I think.
All right. Ozzy, do you want to keep the hermit or do you want to reshuffle?
Yeah, I'm staying.
All right. And
Not directly involved in this one, so yeah.
okay, I'm going to recall the Emperor. I will shuffle, and I will deal another card to myself. Let's see who I am this time. All right. And we move on to the next scene. This is
Waiting for the dawn.
Waiting for the Dawn.
And amongst other the disappointment of not killing y'all, I feel bad for like hogging all the scene establishments. But
totally cool.
so having found Spider's casket empty, even though you know he was in there in pieces, we find this old abandoned, or not really abandoned, just old white painted one room church, about 200 years old, kind of crumbling in steeple and all that. And this is where Wild Bill has this kind of booze fueled sky pilot not really all that Christian revivals and spiritual meetings. Kind of a John Carpenter-esque Antichrist rants.
Yeah, it's not wine, it's Jim Beam.
And it's safe to say we find Wild Bill here.
Yeah,
Imagine.
little communion wafers laced with LSD.
Yes.
That he's giving you all as you're all like praying for the sun, concerned, not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Eucharist of LSD wafers and a Yukon Jack.
My people, we just have to wait this out. I've remembered that this is the devil's night. This is when the devil takes his due. So we have only until the rays of sun come to worry. Okay, I'm about to have him make a confession, but I will, if you do not wish me to take another guilt boon, then I will hold off.
Go ahead, man.
Because this is for a different character. We must all lay ourselves bare to the Lord, who is trying to strike us down for our hubris. I too, I betrayed my friend, my brother. And he knows we're all responsible. Each and every goddamn one of us. For you know what I did. I called the cops, trying to make sure that they only had the right men on site. Wasn't sure it was for our dear departed Spider. But every time we cause too much of a ruckus, we gotta give him something. We gotta give him someone. Because everybody in this town would turn against us, and we know we can't take them all at once. Much though we think we can. We have grown too soft in our hubris, and we must pray we survive the night.
Eyes wide and totally drug-addled, and her hands covered in blood, Vulture stands up and kind of staggers to the front and says, "We can. He's right, you know. We can achieve forgiveness. We can survive this, but we gotta give him something. Maybe we gotta give him someone. Maybe it's the blood that's gonna save us this time. Isn't that always it? Eat this is my flesh. Drink this. This is my blood."
Yeah. The Lord did say, drink of his blood. And just sort of, as though he's suddenly getting this idea, just sort of crazily, he picks up a chalice from the altar, and he cuts his hand and he bleeds into it.
Vulture once again opens her own hand and adds the blood, and then holds out the knife to whoever wants to take it next.
One foot really takes it. He sort of he has a makeshift crutch made from a long spanner, and hobbles forward, takes the knife, cuts his palm, squeezes in some blood, holds out the knife to whoever wants to take it next.
Well, and once you hand the knife off, I think that Wild Bill comes up to you and it sort of takes you by the shoulders and says, Billy, do you have anything you want to confess? To lighten this load this night.
Nothing here. Nothing related to Spider.
Well, here we go.
Just
Dun,
along
dun, dun.
All right. So yeah, suddenly there's there's light shining through the windows, and you think, "Oh man, is this it? Is dawn here already?" You look up to the stained glass window, one of the few remaining ones, where it shows Judas Iscariot hanging from the tree, and Wild Bill. Judas just kind of turns from the noose and looks at you straight in the eyes. Just a bone-chilling grin across his face, and with a sound like broken wind chimes, just leaps from the window. This mockery of a man made out of jagged shards of broken glass.
Well, Bill just takes off his glasses just as it's coming at him. He's like, "Oh, that's not good."
And maybe it's just the LSD, but you're all having the same trip, if that's the thing. It comes reaching to you with its razor sharp fingers.
Oh, look, I'm going to throw this boon down that I just picked up.
No, that's not good of you.
Ooh.
Anyone else want to kick one in, or are we?
I got nothing to help you, man. I'm all out.
Let's see. Yep, there we go. Oops.
Oh, okay.
Flip it.
All right. I will pick these up. Diablo, once again. All right. Let's see.
Yeah, and most of the shards avoid you.
One of you, I swear to this. I'm the worst horror movie villain ever.
We're the best.
There should be dead teenagers everywhere.
I know, what's wrong? Okay, here we go.
All right.
I didn't change the music. I should have changed the music. Too late. All right. Ah!
Oh, boy.
So, well, I'm sorry. Do you have a boon you want to throw?
Yep. You know what? No, actually, I'm going to save it for the final culmination here.
This is interesting because the only thing I can think of right now is that Wild Bill calls out to Satan for help. And he's like, Satan, protect us! And he sort of is going to duck down and sort of pivot and roll under the altar. And just is bolting toward the door of the church. He's like, ah! And he just keeps running. And that's what we see. And I guess that's that.
Yep.
Okay. So let's see. I picked that boon back up since it was not used.
Take
And
the devil.
let's see. Yeah, you get death. And yeah. So yeah, that's right. You had no boons, so yeah, you're there. I'm gonna go ahead and deal. Much as I love to play him, I'm gonna go ahead and deal the Hierophant back into the deck.
I think next scene doesn't everyone show up?
Everyone does show up. That's true. We did, actually let me look at the this is where we're almost at the end here. I think I think at this point we can just pretty much we're gonna have them all out on the where all the leathers are there. So
we still do get dealt
yeah.
a leather.
Yeah, I
Or
think we still get one. So do you want to? So I think it's whoever we're starting out playing, and
Yeah,
then
all
it's sort of,
surviving letters are present.
yeah, we just sort of share the duty.
yeah.
Do you want?
I'm gonna have the high priestess shuffled back in.
Okay.
Get a new one.
Alrighty. Dee-dee-dee. And Ozzy, I assume you're keeping. Oh.
Yep. No, right. Okay. So now we need to. Full starts narration first.
Oh, do you want to? You want to? Oh, okay.
No,
You're keeping. All
I
right. Well,
want
let
to
me
keep it.
go ahead.
I want to
Let
keep
me get everything shuffled to everybody. Let me deal the cards, and then we'll do that. So me and James, I think, each get one of these.
Yep.
All right, and ooh, okay. Then we're good. Okay, so yeah, once again the fool narrates. This is Judgment. Scene 6 is Judgment, which is the writer has one final chance as the rooster crows. All surviving leathers are present in this scene, so all the leathers are here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Judgment card, and because that is where we are in the game, and I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the leathers, I think, on the table, just so that we know all who's here. So Nick is here, and Vulture is here. Rosie is here, and I think the rest of us have our own cards. And so, what's going on?
All right, so you're back at the greasy bastard bar and grill, all gathered around the scarred Formica tables, having breakfast as dawn opens. Just the worst biscuits and gravy in the tri-state area. Washing it down with battery acid coffee laced with cheap whiskey, and just wondering what's next. Was it all a dream? Is it done? What the hell's going on?
I see. So at this point, we see another person. Ooh. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Wild Bill's hands are shaking. He can barely hold on to the coffee cup. And this is a man who survived 3 years of prison wine. He has known some dark moments, and he has never flinched from them until last night. And he is a wreck right now. He's trying to he's keeping his eyes hidden behind his shades, but none of the gang wants to look at him because he was their rock for a long time, and right now he just ain't anymore. And he takes one forkful of eggs and runs to the bathroom and pukes from them. So,
sitting adjacent, watching this and shaking his head, is, let's see, we've got too many, is Bear Stone, who is, magician. He, big fella, wears a big duster. He's like, it's like 6.5 feet tall and is very, very wide. And there's a duster and a cowboy hat. And he has all manner of. He is basically kind of a wizard, as some folks will think of it. He has all manner of sort of charms about him and things, and he has been kind of carving. He's actually lined the insides of this place, the entrance, just sort of area around them quietly. He's sort of lined salt around, and he's been carved a couple of patterns in the walls to try to keep things keep bad spirits out. But he's sort of shaking his head, and he's just sort of looking. He looks over at Vulture, and he's got actually, if you look very closely, you can see he's like in his maybe early 40s, and he's got like kind of the handlebar mustache, but he's got slightly similar features to Vulture, and he just sort of looks over to her, and he says, "I really wish you'd called me earlier."
I kind of wish we had too.
There's no way. We don't have much long. It's probably not going to be much longer. But if this is a revenge transaction, we are easily quite screwed on this. But I'll do what I can.
How did it happen? What happened? How does that work?
Well, sometimes. Well, you morons killed him on the wrong day, he says quietly.
Oh shit.
Figure out you didn't know what night it was.
Yeah.
I've got a banishing ritual I can try, but honestly, it's not looking good.
Nick slams his hand down on the formica and says, "You better fucking fix this. No one's taking this town from me, you understand?"
Nick, you took this town from you. Now let's hope we can hold on to it.
Nick's hand closes around his coffee cup, and there cracks appear in the cup. He is incenssedly mad, but he knows that striking out at his occult-laden buddy there isn't going to help matters.
Ah!
Appears. A wily death appears.
All right, so as the sun is peeking over the gray woods and hills, you hear it, that low rumble of an approaching motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then, crashing through the windows of the greasy bastard, come 4 boat hooks on iron chains. Come crashing through the windows, snagging Wild Bill in the shoulder, grabbing Nick in the side, and grabbing 1 foot Willie in his good foot. One comes flying towards Bear, but is repelled by some invisible force. The cosmic I told ya. And you all get yanked out of the building, through the windows. Outside, it's Spider on what looks at first like his motorcycle, but like the struts look like giant articulated spider legs, and the wheels have like webs where the spokes were.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're flying through the air and heading towards that harsh, cold, salty pavement.
Okay.
Thick, black, oily smoke belching from the pipes.
The cool thing here, the interesting thing about this scene is that you can keep going as long as you have either you keep killing or you run out of boons.
I don't know why I should start killing people now, but let's see.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I've got a couple of boons though on hand. So let's toss Wild Bill, Nick, and
Right.
Willie into the stack.
Okay, so I think for this one you can still target one at a time. So you'd only have to pick from one of those at first.
Because says the fool adds as many leathers as he wants to the death stack, which
Or-
sounds like it's all at once.
Yeah.
That's weird. The only thing that I find a little weird about it, it does say that, yeah. But I'm curious that does reduce the number of. That does make it harder for you to kill anybody.
But it doesn't, because it makes it harder for an immediate kill. But in this case, he keeps flipping cards. If death is flipped, he kills someone off. If leather is flipped, they get temporarily saved. But they can still be killed by death. If a boon is flipped, then one of the leathers is actually taken out of the running for dying.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah. That's
Okay.
Like multiple attempts at death.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you can keep. Okay, I got it. So yeah, if you flip a leather, you can still. Okay. You can still keep going. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Death is returned to the stack, and I guess they reshuffle if death is revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the targeted players shuffles the stack and deals it out face down. I should be reading the instructions like I have been. The fool tries to receive the image of death in his mind with the power of his mind. I'm sorry, Josh. When satisfied with the image he is receiving, the fool flips his chosen card over. Okay, yeah. So each player has the option of adding a single boon card to the stack. Okay, so yeah, everyone you want to put in the death stack. I've got a boon card here. I probably should be a good leather and add it to this stack. But I was not directly targeted, and I feel as though it would benefit me if Nick were to die.
You were playing Bill.
Yeah.
Weren't you playing Wild Bill?
No, I was playing. Last scene. This scene, Bill was.
Oh, you were playing Bear. You're playing Bear. That's right.
Yeah, I'm playing Bear.
Yeah.
So, I kind of feel as though Bear might let them die. Well, no, I don't know. Bear's going to do his duty. Okay.
We have narrated how his magic worked, so
That's true.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and I'll add this card to the stack and one of the targeted folks can pick it up.
I'll pick up the stack. So who all was targeted here?
the Hierophant, Wild Bill, Nick the Emperor, and 1 Foot Willie the Hermit.
Okay, so the Hierophant, Nick, 1 Foot Willie,
Hermit.
And
Strength.
Yep.
Strength and Death, right?
And Death.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I will put these in some random order here. Stop that. And yeah, there you go. There's your to choose from there. Use your psychic powers. So,
all right. So that's 1 Foot Willie gets to something changes for 1 Foot Willie temporarily. So Ozzy gets to narrate what that is.
I think Spider is.
Well, actually, if Josh wants to let him, I just realized. Sorry, I'm reading that. Sorry, go ahead.
Spider's definitely focused on both the Bear and Nick, because those are the two who can, who might be able to hurt him if they get it right. The Bear because of his magic, and Nick because of his, being a priest. No, not Nick. Bill. Wild Bill.
Yeah. Okay, right.
Basically, this means that Spider isn't concentrating on Wonfield really, or so he thinks. And so Wonfield really tries to take the opportunity and sneak out of the church.
The diner, I think. Yeah.
Oh, the diner, yeah, sorry.
All right. And I think Josh can just keep flipping.
Like he goes to the toilet somewhere.
I can play boons, it looks like, to keep flipping is what I think how this works. I think. Maybe. Yeah, because I can, when the fool can play no more, either he's out of boons or everyone in the stack is dead and the scene is over, so.
Okay, yeah.
Alright, so I'm playing Temperance.
Okay.
And, I'll narrate that when I see if I actually get anyone here. Yes! All right, 1 foot Willie.
Yep.
Oh.
You sneak out. But
the door's locked.
But you run outside, you're safe. This morning crow's open. You look up at the billboard behind the building here of old Granny Mickelson. Her smiling face going, hey, Middletown welcomes you, and remember, this is a dry county. When one of those iron chains comes swinging by, snags on top of the billboard, and it comes crashing down on you. Last thing we see is just your face, like, oh no!
It might sort of catch on my neck and
the billboard squishes you.
Got him. All right. So that means that Willie is taken out.
And Death is returned to the stack.
Yeah. So.
And reshuffled, I guess.
Yeah. So James, I guess go ahead and pick the cards back up and
Yep.
back out.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this makes sense now.
Okay. Let's see. Go like that. And like that. And like that. And like that. There we go.
All right.
Yes!
Oh, man!
Ah!
All right, so Nick has been grabbed in the side by those iron chains, and he just hits the salty, cold, rough pavement and just gets disassembled over the next 100 yards.
Okay. So I guess I pick them all back up again?
Well, yeah, we can reveal Nick.
You take out Nick, and yeah.
Right. I don't remember which one it is. I'll take them all and then just
yeah, we can like flip them.
Oh, that's right. Doesn't really matter now.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to play my last boon so I can roll again.
Well, there's Nick.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah, actually, I think since you got Death, I think you can just keep going.
I don't know.
What does it say? If Death is flipped.
And the fool picks again. Yep, Death is returned to the stack, and the fool picks again. Yep, all right.
You're right.
All right.
So yeah, this is definitely mechanical payoff for not having good odds earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, this would have been a good. I see now why it's not a terrible idea for the fool to sit on those boons at the end too.
Yeah.
Because I could conceivably put the entire crew in here.
Yep.
All right. Gotcha.
Okay.
So it's yeah, Wild Bill the Hierophant, last one. I said you wouldn't. He turns over his shoulder and says, I said you wouldn't be spared. Ooh.
Oh, so
that one's mine, so I can narrate that unless Josh can spend a
No,
boon.
go ahead.
Well, so
no, wait, yeah.
yeah, I can say what starts to happen, but you can. He seems to be like just finding some hidden strength and trying to tear the chains madly with his adrenaline. But what happens?
So there's a burst of hellfire, and the devil himself on his own giant, slow-slung cherry red chopper, the big long ones like they had in Easy Rider.
Yes.
The devil himself, horns ablazing, comes driving by. Says, "Not today, Billy or Wild Dill." And this one, yes.
Ah!
And the devil himself just grabs him and stuffs him in the saddlebags with a meaty squelching noise as he folds and spindles in.
Ah!
Fantastic.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Awesome. I forgot to change the... Oh, too late. Well, there we are.
Like, I don't know.
We are
Spider and the Devil drive off into the sunrise with Ventura Highway playing.
So, we have hit the epilogue. And that is its own separate one-card deck, which I shall draw out now.
So it's all the surviving leathers, the fool, and the devil.
So this scene, represented by the card of the world. And this is the epilogue. So all surviving leathers, the fool, and the devil. We narrate the final scene. A player dealt one of the leathers has the authority over the fate of that character. Okay, so we're dealing surviving leathers are the Magician, the High Priestess, and the Empress.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and...
they did all get out there. That's good.
Yeah. So let me pull these things. Let me see what card that is. That's the Hierophant. We got him. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the other cards so that...
Well, we need those three, the devil and the fool.
Yep.
Right, no, the ones that... Yeah, give me just a second. Let me...
Okay.
Yeah, let me do this real quick. Alright. I'm going to go try deleting the Hierophant and the Hermit. Actually, let me do a quick check here. See what I can recall. Yeah.
Oh, let me put out the fool.
Let me see here real quick. A way to do this. Actually, I should have just taken the cards. Yeah. So here's what. Yeah. I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me do some stuff here real quick. Okay. And I'm going to change the permissions on here real quick so I can just grab the three that we don't want. Okay. Alright. So I'm grabbing the Emperor, the Hermit, and the Hierophant out of here. Alright, they're out of there. So now the only three cards left in there are the Empress, the Magician, and the High Priestess, and I can deal those out. Alright, here we go. Alright, so deal out surviving leathers, the Fool, and the Devil. So the I'm gonna go ahead and... Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I guess we're gonna do this as a kind of a random thing. Because someone gets the Fool randomly, someone gets the Devil randomly. Okay.
Right.
So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and put them in my hand, and I'm going to lay them down, kind of as though we're picking at the end, and we'll pick that way, and I'll pick last.
Okay.
So So I will take these cards. Okay, got it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and lay them out. Let's see here. Centered here. Alright. So, we'll go around and we will have random selection from. Let's see. Why don't we have Ozzy take one first? I'm going to go counterclockwise. We'll go Ozzy take one, then James, then Josh.
Dig it.
So I picked one.
Did you pick one? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Do I flip it over?
I got one.
Josh takes one. I'm going to roll a d2 to decide which one I pick up. Okay. I guess one, so I'm taking the one on the left. And actually, let's see, who gets the one on the right? I think that I'm going to give the one on the. I think I'm going to give the one on the right to. I think I'll give the one on the right to Josh. Actually, if.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. And so now, as we take a look at this, we've entered the end here as we're dealing with the epilogue. So the player dealt one of the leathers has authority over the fate of that character with the doom save stipulation. The person that dealt the fool has authority over how things, excluding the leathers, turn out on Earth. Finally, the player dealt the devil decides the ultimate fate of the rider and those he sent to hell. The story and the game ends. So let's see. Let's deal with the surviving leathers first. Who has a surviving leather?
I've got the magician.
Okay. Go ahead and throw that down.
Oops, sorry.
I had a card a moment ago. I had the High Priestess. She vanished.
Yes,
What happened?
you accidentally gave that to me.
Okay. Cool.
Probably this one. It is this one.
All right. So, who wants to go first? So what happens to the magician?
The magician, he basically needs to plug all the holes that allowed Spider to come through. And he can do that, which sort of takes up all his time. And also it wears him down. It's a hard job because he needs to keep plugging holes, except for each Devil's Night.
Excellent. And who had the Empress?
I did.
All right. What happens to what happens to Rosie?
After the death of Nick and just all this insanity, she has decided to leave town. She heads down to Florida, where she forms an all women's Bikers for Christ. uh, chapter.
Oh, nice. I think, I think that Vulture, the High Priestess, tries to help her brother, Bear, with the plugging of the holes, but then is going to just leave town and disappear, change her identity completely, become someone else, and never go anywhere near this place again. And so next, who has the Fool?
That would be me.
All right, go ahead and throw it out here and tell us what happens to everything else on Earth.
So the next day dawns, and Billy steps out of the trailer, and he had heard that there was some destruction that went on the night before, and he heard the sounds of screams and of bikes going and all this, and he walks over to where the shiny motorcycle is in his driveway, and he starts to reach for it, and he looks over into the sunrise, and he swears just for a moment he sees the silhouette of the man he thinks is his father. And he sees that unearthly glow around him. And Billy looks at the bike and says, "Fuck that noise," kicks the bike over and walks to school.
Nice.
Nice.
Awesome. And that was, I think, everyone that we named as other person. There's someone had an admirer named Sandy, but that's
That was one for Billy.
yeah.
And whoever has the devil gets to decide the fate of the rider.
That's me.
Ah.
So, the devil, he's quite happy with Spider's work, but he's still the devil. So, Spider, Wild Bill, Nick, and Willie, their souls all get ground into asphalt used to pave the highway through hell. And it's just a sign of it's just a shot of this big infernal like tamping tool or shovel tamping down this screaming face made out of black tar and asphalt. And it pulls back, and the devil puts the tool in the back of his own motorcycle, peels out right on the faces of the damned, and drives off to perdition.
Nice.
Awesome. And that, my friends, is Hell for Leather.
Yay!
Yay!
Hey!
Thank you all so much for playing. That is much appreciated.
Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, that was awesomely fun.
Yeah.
And
I think this is, you can play this with a different group, and it's going to be completely different.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because because it's just prompts. Everything else is up to the players.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly,
And-
totally.
And now seeing how it ends, it makes me feel like, like any other like revenge horror movie, of course not everyone's gonna get killed off right away. It all builds up to the big scene at the end where everyone's gonna friggin' die.
Nice. Yes, no, I had a lot of fun with this. I'm glad I finally got to play it. This game was, I heard about this game like 10 years ago almost.
Wow.
And this was when I think it was when it came out. And some folks started playing it on their podcasts and was always intrigued by it. Never got a chance to. So I'm glad glad I got to check that box.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for playing. Let's go around one more time, ask folks to say any last thoughts you have about the game and where folks can find you, or any plugs or what have you. I'm going to be throwing some links in there, but if there are any that I that you do not see in the chat, you can feel free to put those in the chat as well. We're going to go, again, counterclockwise from the way we started, so we're going to start with Ozzy.
Yeah, I'm Ozzy, Colorham on Twitter, and that's where you can find out what I'm up to and lots of other weird and random things. I'm currently in 2 regular games. One is on Monday nights UK time, so this is 8 p.m. UK time, which would be 3 p.m. Eastern. We are playing Coriolis on Skaketh's channel, which is the sci-fi sort of Arabian Nights-inspired sci-fi game by Freya Ligan. And on Tuesday nights, not this week because one of the players can't make it, we are playing Curse of Strahd on Capricorn Cross's channel.
Nice.
And those are my regular homes. And then I pop up here and there occasionally on various others as well.
Very cool, man.
And again, thank you for hosting this. This was an interesting twist on narrative games, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was not that fit to do much this evening, just for headspace reasons, but I still enjoyed it, and it was great.
Cool, awesome. Well, very glad to have you. Thanks for coming. This was a lot of fun.
Always fun being here.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Let's move around to James.
Okay. Let's see. I have no Twitter presence. I am a social media Neanderthal. I do, however, have a book coming out in less than a week. The Case of the Scarlet Starlet. It is a hard-boiled detective story with zombies. It is the sequel to Necropolis, which is also a hard-boiled detective story with zombies. They're fun reads. I've loved writing them, and I, as our host can attest to, I have often signed up for his games and fallen out at the last minute because I am horrible at timing things. But I am very glad that I was able to be here for this one because this was an absolute blast. I loved it.
Yay! Yes, awesome. Yeah, we haven't had you on since Don't Rest Your Head, I think. So this
Correct.
is very cool.
Correct.
Very cool having you. Thank you so much for coming. And finally, let us go around to Josh.
I'm Josh Burnett. You can find me at Bernie the Flump on Twitter. You can also find me at bernietheflump.blogspot.com. I'm in a whole bunch of games, none of which are streamed. Although the Pig Smoke game that Bert Isa is running on the Steam Steal and Murder podcast does get put up as a podcast. So you can find me there. I'm always happy to play with James, and I always glad when I have the opportunity. Come find me at Gen Con and we'll hang out.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks so much, man. This was fun. Thank you so much for taking on the burden of playing the Fool.
No problem.
Kind of, it turns out the Fool is kind of almost a GM role in this sometimes.
You did a great job, by the way. The spider was awesome and remained on brand.
I've watched a few horror movies in my life.
So have I, but still you need to bring it across, and you did that really well.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, folks, as for me, I'm Jim. This is my channel. You can find me at OtherDoc on Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and the most recent short story that I have released. Tomorrow, I am going to be over on Katie's channel, Katieface, Katyfaise. In the afternoon. We're starting a short campaign of Inspectors that I will be running.
Yay!
Inspectors was the first game I ever ran on this channel, so I'm very excited to bring it to others. Katie asked me to run that as a campaign, and we're doing it. We're finally doing it. Starting tomorrow. Short campaign, probably only be like 3 to 5 sessions or so, but I'm looking forward to it to see how it goes. Also, this coming Wednesday, we are continuing the mini campaign, this month's mini campaign, which is Tremulous. That is Lovecraftian horror, powered by the apocalypse. And we did our character creation and a few starting scenes last time, and we've got a lot of threads to follow, and I am looking forward to driving everyone as mad as I possibly can. It's going to be delightful. Just cannot wait. They're in 20s era Siberia, trying to hunt down things after a crash, and that happened a while back, and I think it's going to be quite interesting.
Oh, but when did the meteor crash?
Tunguska, yeah.
Tunguska was early. It was like I think
20s?
early. Well, it was like 1900 somethings, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
In the aughts, possibly. I looked it up a little while ago. I think that's what it was. But yeah, I did check. I did check that before, and this was actually there's like apparently a Zeppelin crashed there much more recently. And
1908.
But yeah, that could get pulled in. So many things. There are so many things. The players handed me so many knives. It's insane.
The 30th of June, 1908.
Yes. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But then on Friday afternoons and Saturday and Sunday mornings, I do video games here, and then on Sunday, 1 week from today, we will have our next one shot for this month. That is going to be Dialect. That is a game about language and how it dies. It includes role-playing. It's also a story game. It's GM-less. But we also develop words and figure out how a language changes. It's very interesting. We have, I think, one slot left possibly in the last game. I have to check to make sure. But if anyone wants to dive in, sign-ups are still open for that. It's the second of the 2 games that'll be happening this month, last Sunday of the month. So if you're interested in that, go down and click on sign-ups, or go to my website, jimmys.jim.com, and click on game sign-ups, and you can sign up for that if you so desire. As always, beginners are welcome. Well, when we hit the end card, for anyone who wishes to stick around, I think I'm going to try to send a raid over to a channel I actually haven't seen a lot of yet. It's Welcome to the Party, and they've been doing stuff for quite a while. They're playing some. They're playing the 3.5 edition of Dungeons and Dragons currently right now. And so I'm just curious what they're doing, but feel free to, if you wish, to hang around and say hi to them after we go to the end card. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching, folks. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.